Hello, and welcome to Press Start, the podcast that's anything and everything video games. I'm your host, Azure, and today I've got a special guest. It's Mr. Cody, Mr. Tiefling Cody, the first person I ever did a collab with.
Hello,
Okay,
that's me in half a P.
I mean, I did a little intro. If you wanted to add anything to your intro or introduce yourself, you're more than welcome to.
I am Tiefling Cody at Tiefling Cody pretty much everywhere on the socials if you're interested in finding me. I love video gaming. I love D&D. Uh, I love, interestingly enough, talking about business. But I don't know a lot about business. It's neither here nor there. But and so I'm wanting to get back into streaming, so I decided to help facilitate that energy. I would come on this podcast.
And I greatly appreciate it. So I guess,
Well, how thank you for having me.
I'm more than welcome to have you any day. But let's get into this. So, when did you start gaming?
I started gaming pretty much as early as my memories go. I let's see. So as early as I can remember it almost vividly. Um, I was at home playing the PlayStation 1. I've played earlier consoles, but this is just like my earliest memory. Yeah, it's the Ohio crew.
Yep.
um, the um, I've been playing games since God, I think I was about 5, and I remember it because I had my very first, and I think this is why it was traumatizing. My very first game got corrupted on me, and it was a copy of, I want to say, Tony Hawk Pro Skater on the PlayStation 1, and just desperately trying to get it to work, and it didn't work, and it was depressing. It would start up, I'd see the intro, and then it would just crash.
That's weird.
That So yeah, I was about 5 when I started gaming.
Damn, I think that's about when I started. But I've never, in the 28 years that I've been gaming, I've never had a game corrupt on me. That is one thing I have not experienced.
Wow. Well, you didn't get traumatized like
Yeah.
me.
So you kind of already answered the next question. The first game you played was, um, since that's the first one you can remember, it was Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Or do you remember one
Well,
earlier?
um, I know one earlier. I don't know if I was actually playing it, but I do know that I was introduced to Spyro because my dad loved Spyro and he loved Crash Bandicoot. But I believe Spyro was first, but I was mostly just watching it.
Oh,
Was
okay.
introduced. So it was either Tony Hawk Pro Skater or Spyro.
I could never get into Spyro. I don't know what it was. Crash Bandicoot, I love the shit out of, but Spyro, I could never get into.
Spyro is interesting. It's literally, and now that I'm an adult that has like revisited the game, I was like, wow, this game is literally just a game of mini games.
Yes.
You just like do random mini games instead of like, which I guess breaking down any game can even like be brought to that, but it's just even more so with Spyro.
Yeah, that's kind of how I figure like the early games were with just a bunch of like the easiest way the programmer make it was just kind of make them in ways of mini games.
Hmm. Not too many changing areas, just doing the same stuff. Mario Makering it.
Yes. Uh Favorite game or series?
Like currently,
No, just all time.
um, uh, favorite game. it's definitely a toss up because like I think my most beloved game, we'll say that, Kingdom Hearts, the entire series. Fucking love that game. Um it, like it definitely instilled inside of me my love of magic and whimsy and whimsicalness. Never really played it for for the Disney characters. Was never really a huge Disney kid, but really liked Sora. He was, a very groundbreaking, like character in my childhood.
I, I love Kingdom Hearts, but I could. Sora is one of those main characters that for me is forgettable.
Really?
Yes. Like, I think Aqua, Ventus, and Terra are better main characters than Sora, Riku, and Kairi.
Um, I guess. Well, I feel like they had more they had more focus placed on themselves. It's an interesting thing when you like introduce when you start talking about, like Kingdom Hearts. Um Sora played a very played basically background despite him being an MC. Played background to the the Disney events that were going on. I feel
Yeah.
like if Sora just like had a game and it wasn't like affiliated with Disney, you would actually be able to see that character kind of develop because there are a lot of questions that I had about about Sora, like, where do you come from? Why is he the way that he is? How is he, like doing all this shit? Um, you start to see it later on, but in the other games where they're not Disney affiliated is when you really start seeing characters shine of who they
Yeah.
are.
I want to know Sora's parents because they make reference to it in the
Yeah.
first one before he leaves Destiny Island, but you never see them.
Yeah, he get called by his, parents that it's time for fucking dinner, and I'm like, I want to know who the hell his mom is or
Exactly.
where his dad is. But
I
he's
like
an
it.
MC, so more than likely his dad is dead.
More than likely, he's just being raised by his mom. More than likely, or like how did like all the kids just get there in Destiny Island? It's like Kingdom Hearts has answered questions, but it leaves still so many unanswered.
I mean, I assume that like if based on where they were living, um, so they were living on a beachside town and they just took rafts because like you could see the rafts on the side of the island, like
Mhm.
where they're hanging out. And when you're playing Kingdom Hearts 1, opening up the scene on Destiny Island, you see Sora jump from, like the opening scene is Sora jumping from the raft. So I'm like, okay, yeah, they must like have rafts like us neighborhood kids had bikes.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess I never put two and two together. I never put much thought into it.
Oh, I've put a lot of thought into Kingdom
It was
Hearts.
for me why I first started playing Kingdom Hearts was because it was made by Square Enix, and I love Square Enix.
Yeah, yeah. Squeenix is great.
Hell yes. So, most memorable gaming memory, I guess, besides the corruption of your Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Okay, I'm gonna start talking about Kingdom Hearts again.
That's fine.
um, the well, I guess it's no worries about saying no spoilers. It's
Yeah, no.
been
If
years. If you haven't played Kingdom Hearts, then what the fuck are you doing with your life? Anyway, so uh, second game. Kingdom Hearts 2, towards the end when you're fighting Xemnas, um, you um there's a part, and me and my brother laugh about this all the time. Like we'll just reference it randomly when we're talking on the phone or something. Um we'll It was a part and he says it weird. Ansem is like floating in the air and talking to the group of people that are coming to fight him, and he's like, "So you've chosen the path of obliteration," and I'm like, y'all didn't think like maybe he would have done
No.
that line? It was a little bit more weird. It was just the way he said obliteration that solidified itself
Nah,
in
they
my
just
mind.
took the script from whatever the original, put it in the Google Translate it, and just had the American voice actor just say it as it was translated.
Yeah, if it was made today, it would just be Chat GPT.
Yes, that's a whole nother topic. AI in video games.
Oh my god. Yeah.
What is your favorite genre of games?
Oh my god. Okay, so
Yeah, I'm hitting you with the most hard hitting questions ever.
yeah, so my favorite genre of games, um, like I know it's the genre that is basically every genre. Action adventure. So I love seeing, like I love experiencing and getting immersed in the lands of these games. Like, seeing like the character going through all different types of different places, seeing different people, experiencing the culture. Immersion value is super important, and pretty much every game that I really got immersed into was definitely action adventure. But then there are some that are kind of like kind of sidebars to that, which kind of give me that same immersion. One that I'm kind of reluctant to talk about, APB Reloaded, my most favorite game. Well,
I've
not like most favorite game. It's it's a loaded statement, and I guess maybe we'll get to talk about that game a little bit later.
I've
But
heard of
yeah, I
it.
definitely have to say action adventure.
Okay. Yeah, I
Maybe
guess I never
that'll
really
be my topic for later.
I guess I never really thought about it, but yeah, action adventure does just kind of cover every single game.
Yeah. Eh, It's about a character going on a big journey that, like really matters to me. I like that.
That's fair. I'm a big fan of RPGs. Always will be.
Oh yeah. Great.
And I guess you kind of already answered this, but I'm wondering if you have a different thing to it. What makes a game good to you?
Definitely, the thing that I said previously, it is about how immersive a game can be. And immersion for each and every different person is completely different. Like what really draws you into the game is what really makes it mean something to you, because there are some games that like I've been recommended and I've played, and they're like, a lot of people are like, oh, this is the type of game that you would be, but it's just like not really getting sucked into this game. But
So,
then
so
there are some games, huh?
I was about to ask for immersion with you. Is it more of being relatable to the character, being relatable to the story, being relatable, or getting immersed in the surroundings of the environment? For you, what does immersion mean? I guess.
So it's a collection of all three. Because, like a relatable character can be as simple as this character has a problem and they're, like they're really going through it right now. Or relatable could be that, like, oh, this character, like has a personality like me, like, and is, doing something that I like. Or relatable is a character is designed in a way that I like. Um but kind of a side important thing, I love customization.
Yes.
Customization in a game is super important to me. Um and you don't see it a lot. You see a lot where, oh, you can have, a different hat, or you could change maybe the outfit, but like some games like APB, which foreboding, um, you that game and its customization is just I've never seen anything like it. It's insane.
I guess I'll go back to asking about APB later because I have a question, but we
Yeah,
we, we, we can touch on that later.
yeah. Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. So I guess I have another question. Next question is: do you feel seen in video games?
So that is an interesting one. I would say yes. And so, like generally, when that question is asked or that topic is brought up, scene is like gay characters or whatever representation, like that kind of
Mhm.
stuff inside of games. But scene for me is when I had to take a drink. When gamers are listened to. Like when they put something into a game or they create a game that, like people have been asked about for or have been thought or has thought about, all that different stuff. When I start seeing memes becoming games, that's when I really started to feel seen as a gamer in video games.
That's interesting. You have took it to a different part of that question that I haven't even thought of about the whole
Yeah.
beat scene and listening, like studios listening to gamers and putting things into their game or fixing things in the game that the gamer saying this is a problem. I've never thought about that could be a way for that to be answered.
Yeah, it's, like the representation, like sometimes spans more on a meta level where it's like before I even turn on this game, there's a way for me to feel not seen. You know, a lot of, like, and here comes the classic gripes. A lot of AAA companies don't do that. They don't listen to the people who made them AAA in the first place. But in my, once I started doing PC gaming and experiencing um and I started experiencing indie titles,
Yep.
things that were made not because someone was trying to make a paycheck, but because someone had a dream. That's where I started really seeing my, seeing feeling seen, and I think it was because the games that were being made were made by people like me, made by gamers.
Yep.
Gamers should be making games because
Yep.
gamers know what gamers like.
Exactly. These people have passion projects and just want to make a game because it's fun and want to put something out there for people.
Right.
I
There has been a lot of different games that have come out made by one or two different people, and they have just been astronomical compared to different kinds of gaming. Unpacking, that game is my shit.
isn't that the one where you just move into a house pretty much? I've just
Yep.
seen clips.
You're just unpacking a box, boxes. It's insane, how such mundanities can make a gamer feel seen.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never thought about it that way, but I do like that because the f- yeah. I don't know what to say besides I agree.
Yeah, threw you a
I'm just caught.
curveball there.
I'm just caught by surprise by. So, what do you think was the golden age of gaming?
hmm. Here goes another curveball. I think it's all the golden age of gaming.
Interesting, taking the cop out answer.
I didn't. I don't think the because gaming is still amazing.
Well, yes,
It's still amazing.
it is still amazing. I agree with you.
But so when gaming first started, it was really awkward and niche. and a lot of people were just doing what they found worked and thought was cool. And you have, and here I go again. I'm gonna be complaining about you know large companies making games. Um, you you have people who develop these games, and they really put their effort into it. Um, Bringing it back to Tony Hawk Pro Skater, 1, in the credits, they had, like, this was our first game, Activision or whatever who did that game, Neversoft, I believe it was them. They had where their email was in it, like, hey, this was before, Skype, Discord, all this stuff where you can actually hang out with the fucking devs in the chat. Um, this was before all of that where like they left their email like hey like if you have any ideas like go ahead send them our way like we don't really know what we're doing you know it was an interesting time, and I don't think that ever changed. It's just some businesses, some things got too big. You got so big that, you need to think about your you
Bottom
have to
line.
think about the people, the bottom line, you got to think about revenue, you got to think about how much you're making. And something that I have come to understand as someone that is a purchaser of art and creator for design, you should never art should never have to look through be looked at through the lens of finances, because that crushes
Yep.
creativity.
That's why I would. That's why.
And
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
mm,
I'll let you finish your thought. I thought you were.
the and that that's why I think the golden age of gaming is still here, because once you look past these giant the giants that are take up all the advertising space, when you start looking into indie developers and small company developers, that's where you see that things never change. They're still listening to their gamers, they're still listening to the people who are interested in their games. They're still coming up with great ideas. It's just the big stuff is taking up a lot of space, and you just got to look a little bit harder.
Yep. Like I would say right now would be the golden age of indie games, not AAA studios. Indie games, I feel like this
Yeah.
is the golden age because the past couple years they've rushed out games with the whole advent of internet and everything. It's like, oh, we don't have to make sure the game's fully tested and working. We can ship it out and then patch it to work. So
Yeah.
AAA have gone down. So I think now it's the golden age of indie games.
Yeah, I think that's a fair. Yeah, it's definitely. I don't think indie games has ever exited the golden age, because when people were developing games was when the golden age started, because there's some awesome games that I'll go back and play, and they're just like, oh, this is great. Or the remasters coming out, and they're fantastic, like they remaster the game that like I to the point that like I remember it as if I was a kid. Again, here we go talking about Kingdom Hearts. They remastered Kingdom Hearts 1, and I'm currently playing that, and I absolutely love it.
I don't see. I loved the first one, and I'd love to go back and play it with the remaster. But I don't know. After playing three, I don't know if I could go back and have the same childlike excitement and feelings with one, because three has kind of turned me off from Kingdom Hearts. The ending of it just upset me.
That's foreboding. I haven't finished the
Oh,
third.
you haven't finished third? Oh, okay. Then forget I said anything. You didn't hear a thing.
I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I like to enjoy things. Like it's very hard to disappoint me, which imagine that, how badly the state of AAA developers have to be for me, even me, to be disappointed. Like, I'll stand in the way and be like, it was all right, for a lot of nonsense, but, like these, it's just, ugh.
No,
Ugh.
I take a stand. Like Final Fantasy, I used to be a huge Final Fantasy stan. 15 and 16, I am now not excited for the next mainline Final Fantasy game. They have gone downhill. They suck,
Oh, yeah.
in my
I
opinion.
think the Final Fantasy should have been actually final. That's one of my favorite actual comeback kid stories of Final Fantasy, where they're like Squeenix was gonna go out of business. I don't even know if that's true, but
Yes,
apparently
so
Squeenix was going out of business.
yeah, to people who don't know the story about it was originally SquareSoft.
Oh, hey,
So
what's up, Mixie?
SquareSoft, they were about to go bankrupt. They had just enough money and funds or whatnot to make one last game. And it was the first Final Fantasy. And they called it Final Fantasy because they thought it was going to be their last game. But then it did so well
Yep.
that they have made more games. But yeah, that's a true story.
Wow. Yeah, it's an awesome it's an awesome comeback kid story. Like showing that like um you definitely come back from a huge net loss, but now I'm just kind of like the like I think it's time to call it quits and maybe do something different. um the the let's see, I think, what was the MMO 14?
Yes.
Okay, so Final
Well,
Fantasy 14,
technically there was two. The 11 was the first one, and then they made a second MMO, which is 14.
and then they canned the first variant of
Yes.
14 and
Yep.
made a new one
Yep. Because
because it
they
sucked dong.
Yep, and they listened to the players and like, oh, we're sorry for putting this out. Give us time. We're gonna remake it and re-put it back out there. And now it's the best selling MMO.
Yeah, and it's I have mixed feelings about it. I played that and I had a good time, but I grew out of MMOs because I used to really like them when I was a kid, but
Hmm.
not anymore so much.
That,
When I played Final Fantasy 14, I found myself. Everyone was saying that Heaven's Sword was like it got better in Heaven's Ward, and they looked me dead in my fucking optic nerve saying that, and I'm like, that's not a good thing that I have to slog through this first part of the story. I got to Heaven's Ward, I couldn't give less of a shit. I quit. I'm glad I didn't have to pay for it.
yeah, I will have to say, I don't know. I've played all through Final Fantasy 14. I'm up to date on the expansions. I'm waiting on the next one. They have cut out a bunch of quests and stuff in the first one to make the first expansion to go faster and not feel as sluggish. But
Hmm.
yeah, the first 50 levels are very sluggish, and I understand that completely.
Yeah, it's oh boy, I just was not vibing with it when I was just like like they're just like, oh, just finish Realm Reborn, Heaven's Ward gets better, and I'm like, I'm struggling getting on this game.
Yeah, they
That's how bad it is.
I
And
think it
then
was like
like feeling like I'm going through these massive big battles, and it's like I'm doing damage, but it doesn't feel like I'm actually hitting the enemy. I'm just doing my, abilities around them, and I'm buffing, and it's just like I am not immersed at all.
no, that's fair. That's understandable.
Yeah, because it's
So
like, oh, every warrior of, like, I'm the warrior of light in the line of warriors of light or whatever
Well, see, yeah, I get that. MMOs always kind of have that thing where, oh, you're the main character and you're supposed to be strong, but then there's millions of other main characters.
who
It's
are even
also
stronger than me because they have all the meta designs or whatever.
all the high end gear
They're
and all
like
that.
their eighth characters.
So the character customization in APB Reloaded, how in depth is it?
Okay, so you can put up to 50 decals on your sock.
That's that's a lot.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot. Like no two APB characters are the same. So in that game, I play a a blue furry cat by painting my character's body. You can paint your character's body, you can paint their clothes, you can, like wear all different types of outfits, like it goes in depth. Like for every like for every article of clothing that you can imagine, they probably have some variant of it. You can go from wearing a, like a high schooler's, like cheerleader's outfit to wearing, like to wearing like full tactical gear. Like the span is huge. And, it's simplistic game, but it's customization is insane. Like I,
I don't have a
it's it it's wild.
that's the fact that you put 50 decals on a sock is crazy, but I don't mind the simplistic designed games with their mechanics. It's those ones I usually find that I have a lot more fun with because I'm not trying to do 50 million things just I'm not having to like research and stuff. I enjoy simplistic games. I'm probably gonna download it
Yeah,
because
it's so APB is like you don't have to do that stuff. You don't have to put decals on it, but it's like if you want to, you can.
yeah.
Um, but like even just wearing, a regular t-shirt and, jeans, like that's cool as hell as well. But then it's like, oh, what kind of jeans do you want? It's like have it doesn't have a it doesn't have like a bearing on the game, but it's like even in the game's loading screen, you got your little quotes or whatever while it's loading. It literally says looking good is as important as being good.
Hell yeah, it is.
And it's definitely one of those games where it's like you start off either as a cop or a criminal. As a criminal, you're wearing some, like sweatpants, regular ass shoes, and a white beater. And then with a cop, you're just wearing a trainee police, shirt with some sweatpants and some sneakers. It's, like you go from there and you can make some pretty sweet outfits. I ended up actually getting some fan art of my character because the the community, it's definitely like I never understood the concept of a cult classic until I, continued playing this game well into uh 2024. Um it's a small, it can be small, it can be big, it can be medium, whatever. But it is a select set of people that have been enjoying the same thing for a long time and have not quit it. That is what I feel is, the perfect example of a cult classic.
It's 13 years old and it's still popular. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's still popular, but with a limited number of people.
Oh yeah,
You know,
that's
like
usually
a select number of people.
what happens with older games. Is
Yeah.
you'll get all the fanatics that'll still be playing it 30 years down the road.
Right. Um. Yeah, sure. Why not? I'll send you this one. I sent you some pictures of the game to take a look at of the fan art that I ended up getting of my character with the over the 13 years that I've been playing. Um, and that's another game studio fact that's pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, okay. I
That
didn't
I
know
could
these.
go into.
That character was from APB. You've posted these ones on in the Discord before. I didn't know that they were from APB.
Yeah, they're from APB. The that was my blue cat character that like people really really liked, and my vibe as well was played a part into it, but it was the game was something else.
So this is kind of old news, but I kind of like asking people's opinion on this. What do you think of Unity and everything that they were trying to do?
So I feel like it's backhanded. It is absolutely backhanded to like go and be like, okay, so now you guys owe us money because you used our, services. You owe us on top of the money that you paid for on top of the subscription that you paid to use our services. Now you got to pay us some more because you made money with our. No, shut the fuck up. Get the
Yep.
hell out of here. Go away. It was a trash decision, and it came from a trash man. And the dude was like CEO, right? At
Yeah.
the time.
Yep.
Yeah. That's kind of why, like, and it's here comes the like the my knowledge of being CEO, of being a CEO. You as a CEO need to take a fucking back seat because 9 times out of 10, if you're a CEO, you're just a stand-in, and if you start talking crazy, doing some nonsense, you need to step the fuck down because
Yep.
that was, I'm glad that that stood the test of, the test of the patience of developers and gamers alike, where everyone collectively was on the same page that this sucks.
Yep. And the thing with the CEO knowing, because I mean, if anyone doesn't know, these decisions just don't happen and then go into fruition and then take place. That they've been talking about probably doing this for like a year or so. And for the past year
Mhm.
before they made the decision, the CEO every month was selling stocks. He knew it was going to go badly. That's why he
Right.
was selling stocks. That's the even
Yeah.
worse part.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a 4D chess play, like for him to make a bunch of money. It really scummy business when you start, like actually looking deeper into that stuff. Nothing happens in a business without some ulterior motive.
Yep. And usually that
This
ulterior
is it.
motive is just making more money.
Yeah, they pay people good money to predict stuff that happens.
Yep. I'm out of topic for that stuff off the top of my head.
What?
Oh, I guess what is your opinion on games now putting AI in the games? Like the finals, all the character lines and everything was all done by AI.
I don't think it's good.
I don't think so
I don't
either.
think it's good at all. It's so it should not replace people when because and it's something that like I have an interesting opinion on. Um obviously AI art is not real art
No,
because art requires human emotion, and a machine that's just told words or a machine that copies is not, it's not art. But it's okay to have AI, AI generated whatever, but it's not going to be able to replace people
no,
because of, the fact that you can tell when something's AI generated. There's something about it that, can tell because, and it might be kind of crystal mommy spiritual nonsense. You can feel the energy in a piece of art that was created. The Yeah, like Mixie made a good point. Don't use AI product for monetary purposes. But like something that I had because I do Lyft from time to time, driving Uber and all that stuff. Um, I had a conversation about it where AI art generated, for instance, it's I had someone say that AI art is theft. It's not theft. It's only showing a mirror of what what we do. Because what is AI learning machine doing that is different than us? When an artist looks at other art and learns how to be an artist through that art, that's all that machine is doing. It becomes theft when you start
selling it.
selling it because that's not, like well, it's not even theft at that point. It's just bad practice. It's bad ethics. It's not
Yep.
ethically sound because all you're doing, like you're not actually creating real art, but it's like whatever. There's so much ethically unsound things that happen in our society. It's like it's way too much to handle. But when you really start talking about the intricacies of using AI in development, AI is meant to be a tool. It is not meant to replace. It's the
Yes.
same thing with using machines inside of businesses. You shouldn't use machines to replace your workers. You should be using these machines to make your workers' workload lighter. Like me as a writer, sometimes I write myself into corners. But I can go go to ChatGPT, plug in my idea, and have it write it back to me so that then I can take it and tweak it the way that I want it. And at that point, all I've done is thrown the ball to like to Chat GPT, and it's throwing it back to me in, in an interesting curve so that I can use it for my benefits.
Yeah.
And that is a practice I feel is okay. The same thing would be like if I'm drawing something and or I don't have an idea or I'm trying to focus an idea and I tell ChatGPT to generate this picture for me and then I go and then draw that picture, or create that character. My character Harper was that way. In Mutants and Masterminds. I put in I des- I designed this character. I put it into ChatGPT or whatever AI art, and um, then I took those pieces and was like, "This is the kind of character that I want," and I had them draw that. So I use that as a tool to help facilitate the creation of art from an artist. That's the way that it should be used.
Yeah. So like it's like I am starting to learn how to draw and everything because I've always wanted to. And I trace.
Yeah.
So I've been tracing because I feel like it'll help me get the hand movements down and how it's supposed to look like. But if you're already an artist, don't be tracing AI art. That just makes you look terrible.
Yeah. I mean, like it's of course I'm going to enjoy if the robot is drawing, anime titties.
Oh hell yes.
But am I going to pay for those? No, fuck that.
No,
If I'm
exactly.
paying for it, I want it custom.
Yes.
And you can't have a computer create something custom. Uh, you're not. It's not happening.
So I have another interesting question because I talked about this last episode because I'm an old man. I'm 33 years old. A lot of these young kids don't know what it was like gaming back then. Do you think
Right?
gaming would still be around if the internet just suddenly disappeared?
Hmm. I do, but in a different way. A lot of local stuff would, like start popping up. Like stuff that's created in the, localized area and like it's going to be spread by word of mouth and all that good stuff.
Hmm.
But like the internet is just a really good way of transferring information, but it would definitely hamper a lot of creativity because we as humans work off of each other. So,
Yes.
like cutting that out where it's like how many development teams are done by people who have never even met each other. And sure, there's quite a few.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think of it that way. I thought it more of how gamers nowadays are able to solve problems in games and all that. I didn't think about the whole
Uh,
development of games.
yeah, like there's I guess in the what came with the internet was, and like, yeah, being older, it's like before, if you were an only child, you didn't have an older brother that could beat that part for you, so you'd either just figure it out or you would never play that game again. But
Or you
now
or you would
in
hope
this
that a friend had played the game and had beaten it so you can ask him how to do it.
right, um so now you have the internet, and it's just a whole collection of internet big brothers to beat,
Yeah.
help you beat the part.
I remember having to buy guidebooks, walkthrough books for games.
Yeah,
And now they're just posted free on the internet. I don't have to pay $40 for a book to help me with one section.
right. Or I remember having to call the basically it was like Google, but you would call them and they would help you solve your problem like while you're talking to them on the phone. And I
I,
remember I would call that a couple times
I know
to
Nintendo
try and figure
Power.
something out.
I think Nintendo Power had a game hotline that you could call, but I think that's the only one I know of.
There was there was a there was something and I can't remember. I only used it like once or twice because I had an older brother.
Yep. So did I. I had an older brother too, but
Yeah,
he
so
would never help me.
wow, what was he mean?
No, he was just. I mean, at that age, yes, he was.
Yeah,
But yeah, he was just like, nah,
what a dog.
I figured it out my own. You've got to figure it out. Like, but you're 7 years older than me. You,
Yeah.
I'm not as smart.
I'm not a smart. What a piece of shit. Like, a failure of an older brother. Older brothers are supposed to help you.
But I agree. He'll help me now if I. I mean, now I don't have problems with games, but if I did, I'd help. I
Well, now I don't have.
Yeah, now I don't have
Yeah, because
problems.
we have an adult brain.
Yes, and if my adult brain fails, I have 500 billion adult big brothers on the internet who can help me. So I don't need
Right.
to call
Yeah.
him anymore. Um, Well, it's getting close to the end. Do you have any hot takes in video games?
Hot takes in video games. Um, I kind of dropped my hot take when I was like the golden age of gaming is still around.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's
Um,
fine.
but I guess the other hot take that I have is that and I guess it's not super hot, kind of lukewarm, but like video gaming, a lot of it, obviously everything is living off the shoulders of giants, but video gaming, uh when you play one game, it feels like I've already played this game on, different games. Nothing really seems to be new, but now since a lot of ideas have been done in some way, shape, or form, it's about creating a better experience. And I gotta say, like, for a long time, I just wasn't interested in gaming as a whole. Only recently did I really start getting back into like feeling that, like childlike wonder of gaming when I started playing VR. VR seems to be the new like the new groundbreaking area.
Yeah.
VR, like, before it was kind of like in this awkward infant stage of, just like, oh, I'm just in this virtual reality world, like picking up stuff, throwing it around, whatever. But I played a game, and I have to say that this has to be the best VR game that I have ever played. It is called Into the Radius. And that game is taking place in, some kind of insane disaster has happened, and you're stuck inside of this area where you have to keep going back in and fighting these horrific looking creatures that of shadows that are like echoing the lives of those who lived in that area before. It's pretty intense. It is a first person horror shooter. That and like I've heard the essence. Yeah, it's the game that you watched me play last time. It is, I've always heard the nonsense where it's like, oh, if you give a character a gun, like you kind of eliminate the horror aspect. No,
No.
no, absolutely not. Like, I mean, it's the times in between
Yes.
that are, like kind of like nerve wracking, where, like, oh man, like I'm running low on bullets and I'm low on food and, water or whatever. And I need to get this mission done and the sun is going down, but I can hear enemies are nearby and they don't look like just normal people. They look like, have you ever seen when a graphic gets like super stretched out in a video game?
Yes.
Yeah, or like the texture doesn't load, but the model is there. So it's just these void like empty textures that like are moving around jerkily and unsettlingly, um and the stuff comes so viscerally. Things are loud, like, and especially when the enemies start getting guns, like it's insane.
Yeah.
Like I find myself panicking, like not really able to do the stuff that I need to, like when I'm pinned down because this shadow at the end of this, like walkway is pinning me down with sniper fire, but then there are moving up forces that are running up with shotguns. So I'm like, I don't know if to take out my pistol or use my sniper. I'm like, it's pretty insane.
Yeah,
Um,
I need to get a VR headset. But it'll be a couple months because I'm still a trucker and it's hard to play VR in a truck.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to play VR in a truck. But if I could definitely recommend a few games, um, Hellsplit Arena, incredible night simulator where you're fighting these people. I don't think they hired writers for their story, and that's also something that I find interesting. In a lot of VR games, the story and the writing is very juvenile, and it's like charming in a way
Yeah, they're just
because
mostly
the game is
relying
fun.
on the VR part to make it interesting.
Right, and it does. It's definitely a lot of fun. You know, you get immersed. The the biggest issue is the weight of the VR headset. Once we get rid of the strapping a brick to your face kind of vibe,
Yeah,
um
the early ones were kind of heavy. I
uh
have
yeah, the once we get rid of that, then we'll be it'll be flying time. The problem is they are kind of costly. But if I can recommend a VR headset, um the MetaQuest,
I've heard good things.
developed by Facebook, incredible. It's fucking great. And it's cheap. Like compared to the other ones, like yeah, they might have better graphics or whatever, better, a little bit better tracking, but the difference, the discrepancy between um like say the MetaQuest 2 and the Index, very little. It's highly recommended. And if you can splurge, like just a little bit more, I definitely recommend getting the what is it called? The MetaQuest 3.
Yeah,
The incredible piece of device.
I've also heard the
But
PSVR 2 is also really good.
I have not used that one. But I mean, like, we're probably getting to the point where the tech itself is going to be closer and closer to each other and not very different. So it's like it's definitely gonna still be like either one. You're still gonna be able to enjoy yourself.
But yeah, with
The
minimal differences between the two of them.
Right. Like eventually it's going to be like all about the games themselves. And a lot of them are just like, if you go in expecting to have a good time, it's like, that's the important thing. I feel
Yeah,
like a lot of gamers go in with negative opinions and it ruins it for them
yeah.
because they're expecting to have a bad time and it manifests destiny.
It's just games are meant to have fun. Enjoy them, even if the game sucks. Just enjoy it
Yeah.
because that's what they're here for.
Just
They're
just find something to enjoy about it.
yes.
Oh,
Eh,
one more thing. Project Zomboid is fucking amazing. I don't know if you've been seeing. I've been playing the
Yeah,
game almost nonstop
every time I look
recently.
at Discord and it's like, oh, Cody's still playing Project Zomboid. A week later, oh, he's still playing Project Zomboid.
It's an incredible zombie simulator game.
I've tried
It's
playing it a couple times. Mixie, I streamed it. Mixie watched it, and I can't do anything in that game. I can't. I'm just constantly running.
it modding is everything about the game. You have like modding saved the game, like it saved a lot of games. And I don't know why a lot of games don't make their game, like, I mean, now indie developed titles always want to just like, oh, mod friendly. Um but mods, like the game itself is great, and then you got to like tweak the settings a little bit, like you tweak the settings a little bit. Um, you tweak the settings a little bit. You create an experience that you think is all right. Um, as someone that is from, like the northeast of our country, I don't understand why there's like a billion people in Kentucky backwater as, whiskey drinking, moonshine making as Kentucky.
I mean,
There is
the big
definitely not
cities.
enough to like make these massive hordes. Just like I have driven a semi in fucking Kentucky before,
Yes.
and it's like there's not enough people for this. Like I have to put the population set to low instead of normal, and to give the real Kentucky experience. And then it's like you go into the cities, yeah, there should be a little bit more populated,
Yeah.
but like the
The,
fact that like the main mall can be actually filled with like 10 people, like a million people inside of this mall. This is not Kentucky.
no, it's not Kentucky.
Yeah, okay. He's like, oh, I mean, it's 1980s. That should mean it has even less people. I am, I'm done, man. I'm done. I fucking love that game, though. It's great.
Oh, that was perfect. But
But you
we'll
should
get to.
absolutely play that.
I don't have it downloaded right now. I mean, it's probably not a big
No, I mean,
download, but I don't have it downloaded.
I mean, well, I mean, no. There's a lot of setup, So like maybe next time if you bring me back on,
Oh, anytime
we'll
you're welcome. Anytime you see me streaming, you can just call me and you can join the stream. We can play games together. I don't care what I have planned.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
But
just set up a little Project Zomboid experience and get that going.
now we'll get to our final segment of the podcast, and then we'll get into the game. The final, as some people know who's been here all the time, questions from chat. Ask us any questions. It could be anything related to anything we've talked about in this episode, or just general gaming questions that you have.
Any questions? Oh, what's your opinions on metagaming? Like games putting political and social topic in their games. Um, so is this am I going to answer this question
No,
or you?
you started talking, so I was going to let you. I have an
Oh,
answer to it if you need a second or want to go off mine. Well, thanks for the follower
oh,
subscription. There's no alert on here, so I can't see it. But my opinion
oh,
is,
right.
I'm actually okay with it because it adds more to the game, and it's I feel like with putting it into a game, it kind of has like a mocking, a parody, a making fun of, but in a sense bringing to light and bringing the topic to the forefront of people and letting them more see it. So I'm fine with political or social topics in games.
Um, where like my angle of it is a lot of art is a lot of art is political in nature. Um, like whether do people agree or not, but like a lot of art is developed with like an agenda in mind. It might be small, it might be big, but like a lot of like art itself has been counterculture as early as it comes. A lot of people use art to be counterculture. So like and games, they're just another extension of art, especially nowadays. Um, like being heavy-handed with it, I feel like is bad practice. But like disparity, economic, like economic issues, all that stuff, like cyberpunk. The cyberpunk itself, even from just its title, is exactly my point where it's like it enhances the game. As long as it enhances the experience, I
Yeah,
think it's okay.
yeah. If they're just putting it
But
in there
if
to
it's
put it
just
in there,
some heavy-handed nonsense like oh, I just happen to tell you this character is gay, it's like, yeah, you could have told me this character was gay by, like just having their lover come up and they call them babe.
Yeah,
Something subtle.
yeah. If it's something that, yeah, I agree. If it enhances, yes. If it's just put it in there to put it in there, then it's not going to do anything for the game. It'll probably turn me off from playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah, like what Mixie said, he's like it's fine as long as it's not like for a reaction or has nothing to do with the game itself.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that.
Any other questions? If there isn't, then we'll end this and we'll go play some GTFO.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I always got to remember that there's a delay in chat. So I'm like, oh, I asked a question, then it's like 20 seconds, 30 seconds later, I'll pop up.
Yeah, you gotta, gotta wait a moment. Ezra already answered this.
Okay, so this is gonna be a question for
What?
you, Cody.
Oh,
Since apparently I already answered his question that he's about to ask.
right. What upcoming games are? Hold on. Upcoming
What?
games are you looking forward to the most? Jesus Christ, I don't even know what fucking games are really coming out. Yeah, that's that's a tough one because like I literally don't know what games are being developed. I've seen some cool stuff. Um, I've seen some cool stuff in like the indie, like indie area, but like as far as naming names, uh, I got nothing for you. Um, let's see, what is it called? It was like, oh, Macabre. Macabre. It's one that I saw on Facebook, and I'm an actual backer of it. God, that game looks incredible. It's inspired by Lethal Company, but it's less comedic designed. It's like, um, it's absolutely something else. Like, you're performing tasks, you're collecting stuff, or was it? I can't remember what it was inspired from, but Macabre, great one. Very interested in that. I'm looking forward for that game to coming out.
I'll have to look that one because I haven't heard of that game. That
Yeah.
I don't know much of like indie games coming out. I know like AAA games I'm excited for. I'm excited for Resident Evil Rebirth, not Resident Evil, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the second in the remake, and then Hades 2.
Yeah. Um. Oh. The Hellscape, I think, is what it's called. Hellscape. Let me look it up. Hellscape. Oh yeah, Hellskate. It's basically Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. They bring it to hell.
That's awesome.
It looks amazing. It,
That's
I
awesome.
I saw that and I was like, that looks fucking amazing. I want this game.
That's awesome. I love that.
It's apparently gonna be released in Q1 of 2024.
So next couple months. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Alex,
I'm super excited for it.
I'm going to take one more question if you guys have it. Because even though I can answer questions and talk about games all day, I'm kind of excited to play GTFO.
Right.
Plus, you guys can still ask questions while we're playing GTFO.
I'm not gonna be looking.
I'll have it up. I'll bring up any questions they have.
I only have one screen right now because I did have an apartment fire, as most people know.
Worst
Worst
game.
game of 2023.
Um,
Uh,
I'm trying to remember what all came out in 2023. That's also the problem. I'm trying to think if there's any big
God, what,
flops.
what was that? What was that shitty fucking uh zombie game? Um, the day after, I believe it was.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. It came out and then what, a couple days later the studio shut down because of
Yep.
something. I totally
Yeah.
forgot that that came
It's
out this
because the
year.
game sucked. It was full of bugs, zero like zombies. It's awful. Oh, also tell me which game was so overrated. Spider-Man 2.
I didn't play that one, but I know people loved it and were upset that it didn't win Game of the Year. But that was all Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate. Like Spider-Man 2 was cool and all, but Baldur's Gate deserved it.
For me, the answer,
Spider-Man 2 was just overrated.
yeah, for me, the answer to both those questions for me is Final Fantasy 16.
I don't even think I haven't even seen that game.
Yeah, it was the first 2 hours was great. It hooked you, and then the rest of it just went downhill very quickly. Combat sucked. It was either very easy, which I understand why they put it in there for accessibility reasons, and I'm not that for that reason I'm fine with it. But then the other option was extremely convoluted and a lot of micromanaging. There was no in between. And it was
Mm,
also just very overrated. Everyone loved it, had a bunch of hype. I just don't see if this is the way Final Fantasy is going, then that's it.
yeah.
But yeah, that'll be it
Um,
for today's episode. Thanks for joining us. Thanks
Dawn
for coming
Water.
along. Remember, I do this press start every Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. So on Twitch. So thanks y'all for coming. Have a good night.